Swamiji, we can see the Samadhi Mandir of Madhavananda Swami behind. Could you please share some details about him?
Actually, I know this much. He was a great saint, a great sannyasi. And he was a great scholar. Great scholar. Just 1 minute, I will stop now. And I will ask somebody to take one book, just to show that, not for my reference, just to show the great work he has done in the Gujarati language. So just 1 minute. So he was a great saint. Madhavananda ji, actually, he came from Kerala. He was a Malayali by birth. And we do not know much about his pre-monastic life. About his pre-monastic life, we do not much. However, he was absorbed in his tapasya. In the early years of 1900s, and by the year 1920-30, he was famous here. He was living on the banks of Narmada, and many years he was living in the place Chanod. It's on the bank of Narmada. And when he was living in the Mahadeva temple of Kheda, he started writing Vedartha Chintamani. That book I will show you. Vedartha Chintamani. So in 1937 or 38, Swamiji reached here at Mahemdavad, and there is a Vaidyanath Mandir, and he was living in that temple. And in 1939, he started living at this place where this Madhavanandashram is situated now. 1939. Then it was only a thatched shed, and started constructing an ashram, of course with the help of devotees and public. And in 1941, he started building permanent structure here. Even though he came from Kerala and he was a Malayali by birth, he was a great scholar of Sanskrita and a deep knower of Vedas and Vedanta and all darshanas. And in Gujarati, he has written Vedartha Chintamani. I can show you the book. This is Vedartha Chintamani, volume 1, then volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. Big books. There, each and every shabda which a sadhaka must know from Veda is taken, and Swamiji explains what is the external and inner meaning of that term with the help of different Puranas, different Itihasas, and other Dharma Shastras. For example, take one word, Shama. So first Swami will write what is the meaning of Shama. And then different quotations from Veda, Vedanta, Upaveda, Purana, Itihasa, Dharmashastra, like that, regarding Shama. In that way, different words are explained here. And with this book, we can go into the study of Vedas. The Vedartha Chindamani it is. And Swamiji entered Mahasamadhi in the year 1948. It was on the day of Guru Purnima. It was on the day of Guru Purnima. So by that time, Swamiji was very famous here. Here means whole Gujarat. And especially this place. And so many devotees were there. And it was a Guru Purnima day. That is 20th of July, 1948. So many devotees came to the ashram. And after puja and satsang, Swamiji himself spoke in that occasion. They did that satsanga. And after that, all were given food, prasada. Prasada was distributed. And it was Om Namo Narayanaya. Yes, yes, Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. So after distributing prasada, it was the practice of Swamiji that he will eat only after distributing prasada to everybody. And the inner circle of devotees, they also used to eat with Swamiji. That was the practice. So they were waiting for Swami to have prasada. Then Swamiji called them and told, you go and eat. I will come later. I will have later. I will come later, I will have later. You go and eat. Then they said, no, Swamiji, it is our practice, we are eating together. After distributing prasada to everybody else, those who came from outside, it is our practice, we are sitting together and eating. Then Swamiji said, no, today you eat. Don't wait for me. So, obeying Swamiji, some had prasada, but some didn't obey that. They waited for Swamiji to come. Swamiji entered the room and he sat there. After 1-2 hours, nobody was having nobody dared to open that. Because Swamiji was that much loving, that much caring, but at the same time, that seriousness he had. So even the inner circle of devotees were not ready to open. After 2-3 hours, one mother, her name is Bhagavati, she opened the door and she saw Swamiji sitting in the erect pose, in the Padmasana, he was sitting. Then she thought Swamiji will be doing or immersed in dhyana, so I must not make any sound, and she came out. But after 1 or 1.5 hours, again they went inside. Then also Swamiji was in the same pose. Then they realized he has gone. So it was on the Guru Purnima day of 1948. In those days, Swamiji, that is Vimalalanda Maharaj, he was not here. He was in a pilgrimage to Kailasa. When he came back from Kailasa, he knew that Madhavananda has entered Mahasamadhi, and he came back. And he only developed this ashram. He constructed the Samadhi temple, which you are seeing here. He was a great sannyasi and very great scholar. And this much we know, that name of his guru is Swami Ramananda Puri. So he was a disciple of Swami Ramananda Puri. Who the Swami Ramananda Puri was, I don't know. I do not know anything about Ramananda Puri. And from my own personal inquiries, I came to know that the pre-monastic life of Madhavanandaji was somewhere near Valluvalli in Ernakulam district. Valluvalli, the present Ernakulam district, but it is not sure. Our Swamiji, Vimalalandaji, one day told me Madhavanandaji was a police officer in the under the Cochin king. One day. Another day he told me he was a staff of Guruvayur Devaswam. So what is right, what is correct and not, I don't know. However, we are not at all concerned about the pre-monastic life. We know this much. He was a great scholar, great sage, and of course, tough disciplinarian. So only a few stayed with him and learned. He was that much tough disciplinarian. Only a few could stay with him. So Swamiji took sannyasa from him. But he didn't stay for more. Swamiji, our Swami Vimalalanda Maharaj, he came to know about Madhavanandaji when he was studying in Kashi. That's a story.
Swamiji?
That's, oh, yes?
Yeah, whether this Vedartha Chindamani is translated into any other language?
As far as I know, it is not translated and published. If somebody has translated, I don't know. We cannot say for certain because it was published in 1940s. But it is not published.
Okay.
So our Swamiji, Vimalalandaji, actually he came from Thiruvananthapuram when he was a small boy of 2 years age. Then a dog pounced on him and he got dog bite. And it was proved that dog was mad, having rabies. And in those days, if such a dog bite gets gone forever, but his mother took the child and ran to Sri Narayana Guru. And Sri Narayana Guru gave some medicine. And nothing happened to that boy. And he was named Sambashivan. He grew. And when he was a student of 5th or 6th forum, there his family was planning to send him to English school. So it was the pre-independence days. So studying English was considered that much great, and it was a fancy of families to send their children for English studies. So this boy was rather reluctant. Not that he cannot study, but he was having some reluctance in going to English schools. And one day, this boy, with 2 or 3 friends, heard Sri Narayana Guru is coming to some nearby place. And so they went, school students, in that school dress, with some books in their hands, went. And they saw Sri Narayana Guru sitting on a chair. And so many people were there around him. All were prominent in the society. So how these children can approach him? This was the doubt. Of course, it is not possible because Guru was circled by so many prominent people of Tirunelveli. And they are common, ordinary students. So these students climbed on a rock and made so many noises just to attract the attention of Srinarada Guru. Then he called them. Then they went there and he gave bananas to them. And after giving banana to Sambashivan, Srinarada Guru said, you must learn Samskrita. You must learn Samskrita, this much. Then Sambashivan went back home and said, Srinarada Guru, we met Srinarada Guru and he said this. Then without any doubt, the family changed their plan and they sent him to Samskrita school. That Samskrita school is now the College of Sanskrit in Tirunelveli. And after completing the school studies, that is equivalent to the Prakshastri of the present day, that is 12th. An inner urge came, I must learn Samskrita more. And he knew that the apt place for studying Samskrita is Kashi. In those days, Kashi was a place of scholars and Samskrita studies. So without asking anybody's permission, without saying anybody, without getting permission from home, he just dropped off. And he reached Kashi. And somehow he met some Mahatmas from Kerala, one Atmananda and one Shankarananda. Shankarananda Swami was a disciple of Srinarada Guru. So this boy said, I came for Samskrita studies. Then they asked, how you are going to study? As a normal student or as a sannyasi? Till then he was not thinking about sannyasa. What is sannyasa? There was no idea. But they asked, how are you going to study Samskrita? As a normal student or as a sannyasi? Then immediately answer came from inside sannyasi. Then they said, then you come tomorrow morning, you will get sannyasa diksha. This boy was not ready for accepting sannyasa. But next day, he became a sannyasi and started studying Samskrita. So he joined in the university and learned Shastri in Vedanta and Darshana. And while he was studying there, he heard from one Swami, if you want to see a real sannyasi, a great scholar, there is one, Madhavananda Swami, and he is staying at Gujarat. So if you want to have his darshan, you can go to Gujarat. So from Kashi, he ran to Gujarat. And he reached Madhavananda Swami and he prostrated. Then he asked all details. Then he initiated him in the formal way to sannyasa. And he became Swami Vimalalanda Puri. Then Madhavanandaji shouted, you must complete your Shastri course. You must go back. No, Swami, I am staying here to serve you. No, it will be a disturbance for me. You serve yourself first. Then you serve me. First you serve yourself. Then serve others. Then you go. Then Swamiji went back to Kashi and completed his Shastri and again came back to Gujarat and stayed for some weeks or some months with Swamiji. And then he went out for a pilgrimage with the permission of Swamiji, of course. And after Swamiji's Samadhi, he came back and he established this Madhavanandashram. So till his Mahasamadhi in the year 2009, He developed all these ashram and he was here. So these are all about Madhavanandaji and something about Vimalalanda also. Namaste. Now we can conclude and we can continue in our next sitting.